At 19 years old, I'd heard a lot of things. I felt guilty about a lot of things, maybe my lifestyle or, who I wasn't living up to be in the eyes of my parents or in the eyes of my faith. I couldn't measure up. And my parents are telling me to be one thing. I have my aunts and uncles asking me to be something completely different. I have my friends at school saying, hey, Jaga, that's stupid. Why don't you do with this? And I'm seeing them, and I'm seeing them live their life. I'm like, wow, that looks awesome. I want that. I have the culture around me telling me something completely different, how I should live. And we have so much noise around us growing up. And it's coming from all angles. And how do you make sense of it? How do you figure out what is up, what is down, what is left, what is right? I had no idea. And it made me frustrated, and it made me angry to the point where I was done with this. I didn't want anything more to do with anything. And when that thought entered my mind, I realized that, my parents have given so much to this. I at least owe them the honor of finding out what I'm leaving. At least investigate it myself. So I decided to leave home. And I left by myself. For 6 months, I just left home. I brought with me the divine principle. And for 6 months, I studied that thing. I read it about 9 times. And it was really the first time in my life where I had the room to be able to think. I had the room to be able to hear myself. I had the room to be able to ask questions. I had the room to be able to pray the way that I pray, not the way that I'm supposed to pray. To ask God questions the way I need to ask God questions. And it was incredible. I was able to find out so many things about myself. But, I went out there with pretty much 2 questions in my heart. First one was, God, if you exist, show yourself to me, because I want to know. And the second one is, if you do exist, let me know who true parents are, because I need to know. And if they're not who they are, then I'll take my brothers and I'll leave this. But if they are who my parents say they are, then I'll be here. And that was in my heart. And so somewhere like 30 days into my journey, Jaga's little escape from life and noise, I was reading the divine principle, and I don't remember what part I was in. All I remember, when you're reading and you're kind of like, you're reading the words, but you're not really reading. I had what some people would call, I guess, I don't know, an out-of-body experience. I'm not a super spiritual person, so I don't exactly know what that was supposed to feel like, but I was able to see myself from a different perspective. It was almost like a bird's eye view of me, and not just like right then, but my whole life. I was able to see my actions and the effect that my actions and the imprint my actions had on other people. And in that moment, I was able to actually, for the first time in my life, I saw God. I didn't know God had a face. And I don't know what God looks like to you, but to me, God looked like my family. God looked like my parents. God looked like my brothers. And I saw what I was doing, what that did to my family, or what that did to God. Mostly I saw my parents. And I really felt what my parents were feeling. Even though my parents didn't know necessarily what I'd been doing behind their backs, I could feel what they were doing, what I was doing to them. I could feel it. And it made me feel so guilty. And I didn't like that feeling. I don't know who likes the feeling of guilt, but for me, I just couldn't shake it. And I just felt so hurt and so burdened because I could see it and I could feel it. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, the most overwhelming sense of love, it just embraced me. Regardless of everything I'd done, I felt loved. And I couldn't believe it. Regardless of what I'd done, I was loved. And I realized I didn't even love myself. I didn't even have respect for myself. But something way bigger than me loved me and was there for me and would never give up on me. And I could feel it and hear it, and it was saying, don't worry, you're going to be okay. And it broke me. It broke me into a million pieces. And it helped me see me for who I really was as God's son. And as I was crying, I was powerless to do anything. I was just broken. And I started hearing this voice come over me, and it said, Jaga, it's okay, just tell me. Just tell me. I knew what it wanted me to tell. It was like, just tell mom and dad everything. Don't worry, it'll be okay. No, it won't. You don't know my mom and dad. My dad will kick my... I didn't want to go there, so I was like, I can't. I kept on hearing it and kept on coming back. It wouldn't leave me. So finally I gave in, and I mustered up the courage, and I went to a payphone. That was back when we had payphones. Used a quarter. Actually, back then it was upgraded. It was a quarter and a dime. 35 cents. That, aggravating. I don't have a dime. Anyways, collect call came in handy then. So I called my parents, and my mom picked up the phone. Hey, Jaga. She has a lovely German accent. Hey, Jaga. I said, hey, Mom, I got to tell you guys something. Can you get Dad on the phone? My dad got on the phone. My dad loves to talk. If you don't know him, he loves to talk. Hey, Jaga, how you doing? I was like, Dad, I need you to be quiet for a moment. Got something important to say. I said, you know what? I really got to tell you guys something. You know, who I've been in front of you is not who I am. And I've been something completely different. And in that moment, I told my parents my entire life. I let them know who their son was. And I completely made myself vulnerable, and I was scared to death, but I let my parents know who I was and the failure that I thought I was. And I told them about the dating, I told them about the drinking, about the partying, about the drugs. I said, this is who I am. And I'm so sorry I've done this to you. I'm so sorry this is who I am. And actually it's not just there, it's my brothers, some of them have been following in my footpath, in my footprints. And they've been doing the same things I've been doing. And please don't be angry at them. Don't do anything to them, because they were just following their older brother. They didn't know what else to do. I'm so sorry. And that's when my dad got on the phone. And he said, Jaga, there is nothing that you could ever do that would make us love you any less. We love you so much. He said, we don't care about what you've done. We care about what you're going to do and who you're going to become. And don't worry about your brothers, because they have a great older brother. We love them, and they're going to be fine. Whew. I didn't know that was coming. I was expecting something different. And it changed my world. And all of a sudden, all this guilt and all this burden was lifted off of me in a second. For the first time, I felt free. For the first time in my life, I could start loving myself. For the first time in my life, I knew who God was in my life. And I saw that through my family.